Well, we're standing because Christ is in our boots, and we do not shy away from announcing that to the world. And we will not make sure that as you go out there, let God lead. May you reflect the blessings and the nature of God, most importantly. That's what we do here on Wake Up Africa. We intersperse it with all conversations that really matter to you and your family. And so welcome indeed to that particular part of the show that deals with something that, for most of us, okay, maybe my background, but we tend to lose sight of some of these things also because of knowledge and ignorance, depending on where you stand, whether you have knowledge or ignorance about it, you deal with it. Learning disabilities, umbrella term, learning problems that we have, right? And so the bigger problem of learning disability has to do with the neurological based problems that you have, where kids or people have problems with their minds, and so it reflects. And that's why you have kids who probably they fear numbers. Some of us, we see numbers and it's doing a lot of things in our minds, dyscalculia. But again, what are the pros and cons? Because some of these kids could come up with some great things in other aspects. People are dyslexia. Let's get into some of these things. Maybe later on we'll break it down. I wanted to share with us the background to some of these things, some of these learning disabilities, or if you like, problems. But there's a guest in the studio that has gone through it herself, and of course founded a particular organization that deals with it. I'm not talking about the Love Mother. The Mother of Love is in the studios. Biadela is here. It's not Biadela. We're not talking about Biadela at all. The guest is in the studios and joins us. Rosalin Abigail Kyere-Nartey joins us. She's the founder of the Africa Dyslexia organization, and she's our guest for today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. Right, so clearly 17 years before you hit 17, or from the time you were born till 17, you were not able to read.
I struggled.
You struggled?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me the difference between not being able and your struggles.
So even for my name, it took me quite a long, I think even at the age of 13, I still couldn't spell my full name, and you see it's quite long. So I go to school, they teach all right, and I love school. It's not like I didn't love school. I love school, and I pay attention in class, and I make the extra efforts all the time to understand what my teachers are teaching, but I was just not getting it. And it was stressful to me as a child, because here we are in the class and all your mates could understand and spell, write their name. If it comes to reading, they are reading, and they call you, and you know how we call children in class, like stand up and read a paragraph, and they call you and you're shivering, and it's like I cannot identify any words in this but at that time, of course, I didn't know about dyslexia, and my teachers didn't know either. So it resulted that I was the one that was not making efforts to learn. Oh, I was a lazy, and then it translates to you're a bad child, you're not studying, you're not paying attention in school, you love to play and all that. So it kept on and it kept on. And I still couldn't read. And I remember I kept repeating classes, because in Ghana here, at the age of 15, you should finish junior high school, which is JHS. And I was 17, just about turning 18. And I was still in JHS 3. And I got to JHS not because I did pass any of the tests. It's just because they had to push me, because I was outgrowing every class. And so when I say I started reading and writing at that age, I could write all my names at that age, but I couldn't put together a full sentence on paper. And so my parents wanted me to finish JHS, and they approached the school that, is it possible you can just register her to finish JHS? And the school said, yeah, but we cannot register her in this school because she still haven't put up her best. And if we register her as part of the candidates, our grades are going to get down. And so my parents took me, they advised them and they took me to a village, to a public school village. And the headmaster was like, don't worry, I will register your daughter. And that's how I got registered and wrote the BEC. But in the BEC, and to answer your question, I was looking on all the papers. I sat for all the papers, but it was hard. I couldn't identify, I couldn't read, I couldn't understand what was in front of me. Neither even the tree subjects that we had, I could not read it. And so I don't know, check mark A, B, and C with the multiple choices. Somewhere my friends could taint their paper a little bit for me, I would do and just copy. But even my mind works in such a way that I look at the paper of a friend. By the time I move my eye to my paper, whatever I saw, I had forgotten. So I wasn't able to even do copying. And that was my experience with school.
I see. What were your parents' approach to this? Indeed, are you one or do you have a lot of
I have siblings.
How many of them?
So we are 5.
5. You are the last?
I'm the first.
Okay. So a first child, probably they had expectations to say that, look, this child is going to carry the rest that we are going to give birth to, and then comes out to be, like an oops. And how was the approach? I want you to let me know what was going through their minds. And
okay, so I was not staying with my parents. I stayed with my aunts.
Okay.
At this moment when all this was going on, it was in Sohom.
Okay.
But my father was involved. My parents were involved as well. But I was with my aunts. However, we were in a compound house. And in this compound house were other children who were, fortunately for them, were very good. And unfortunately for me, very bad. And so the comparison, it's like day and night. You wake up and it's in your face. And when my parents get the opportunity to visit and they sit with my aunts, it's all about the bad things that I'm doing at home and why I am not able to do well in school. My dad is an educationist.
Okay.
And
that makes it worse.
That makes it worse because his expectation is like this.
Off the roof. Yeah.
And other siblings are doing well.
Okay.
So why are you not doing well? And it was all on the, funny enough, they were always focusing on the bad aspects of me. And to be true, I started becoming bad because as a child, it was like, you're not good. So it got to a time where I developed this defensive mechanism where, I'm not good at that, let me not be good. And so it kind of reflected what they are always saying. And that was the approach for me. And it was like, okay, probably this is just how you are. You are not going to amount to anything. And that's how the experience was.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Well, for me, my question would rather, not even for you, maybe to Koku, because he's the one who goes deep into education.
Yes.
He's a teacher.
Yes.
Do you have anything from your training and all of that addresses these things?
Yeah, of course. You are taught. That's why I said I have knowledge about learning disabilities. So you as a teacher, once you are going from training, you have to move away from the theory that you learned in school because it's just a course that you take. From that point onwards, you are met with different issues on the ground where you go to a school where, for me, I was very unfortunate to go to a very good school where I was posted. And then the kids were sharp. But in there were kids who were dyslexic, who had dyscalculia, and of course, had all of these. So you need an approach. And I saw my colleagues were not doing anything about it. And so you must take the initiative to read about it and to make sure that it's a different approach to these kids. If you don't do that, it's going to be a mass production, and those kids in there will be lost, and they might not benefit from it. And so
the
teacher must have a very, very good knowledge of this and how to attend to these kids beyond even classes hours. Beyond classes hours. And how many teachers are well paid, who are motivated, who are in the right frame of mind
to go
want
extra
to go
mile. Exactly. Because she actually mentioned that her teachers didn't really know anything about these things.
No. A lot of my colleagues only wrote it before they completed, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
Baba, just write
insults will be held on you. They're going to do a lot of things that will damage yourself.
Well, quick, that's good of you.
Oh,
and thanks for doing that. But I wonder, even currently with the teacher training program, they just still touched on it. It's just like a theory. Okay, so you're going to meet students who are struggling. Some will be dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, ADHD, and that's it. What is it? How do I screen the child? How do I profile my students in the classroom? How can I teach them?
Yes.
So the teacher comes to the classroom is how I want to teach the child, but not how the child wants to learn. And that's how the process has been. So you did quite well.
Oh, yes. Of course, then I met a child, gave birth to a child who was doing so well. COVID hit, didn't go through any lesson, was in the house all through, came back to school from another environment to another, and was new.
Right.
And the teacher would not understand this. And was heavy, like very high-handed, would always. And I went to the school, I'm like, look, tone down. I've been here.
Yeah.
I know. And so the teachers must know, but how would they know?
I mean, because if you are supposed to, teachers are people in authority.
Yeah.
We see you as even for some children,
Right.
the words of the teacher is the final say. The parents.
Yes. I was
Mommy
an example.
says go this way. Say no. Teacher says, you know. So
and
that's
parents will
where
come to the school and ask, who is this one? Come, why are you doing this?
So that's where my focus is.
Right.
That the children leave home from confused parents.
Yes.
And we're expected to see teachers who would help to fix that problem.
Very difficult.
But they're also compounding it.
Yes.
Tell me how it felt for you. We're two worlds. You are in a home that doesn't help. You're in a school that does not help. You're in a world you don't understand.
It was so confusing, and it started damaging my self-confidence because you go to school and because you're in education, you understand. Dictation, mental.
Oh, no.
And at that time, it was caning. So all class, you stand up and they mention the word and you have to spell. And if you get it wrong, it's caning. So imagine if this teacher is going around for like 6 times. That means
you collect.
6 times.
Oh, madam, you collect.
My God. Do you do skin care? Because
No, I have some marks on my legs that were as a result of that. So you get caned and the teachers are picking on you. And when it comes to, the funny thing is, the moment we get outside the classroom and it's extracurricular activity, I'm bubbly, I'm light up, I enjoy, we're going for excursions, and I'm excited.
Quickly, that is what the teachers will refer to as, that is all you know.
Yes.
So they see you, what they'll say is, that's all you know.
When it comes to math, you are quiet.
When it comes to drama, that's what you know. You only know this one. That's the snipe.
But that is where the talent is hidden. That is where my skills is
my dad
hidden.
was watching.
I know. He's somewhere. He's in heaven watching. When he returns.
Because that man actually yanked me out of. He was like, look, I can't have a daughter who is part of reading club and drama club and wasting time. And you get it. So now I had to do sports. That's so hard, even though I enjoyed it. And then you have to he doesn't understand why you come home and you have grade C in math. You die.
You are finished.
Yeah, you are dead. You get it. But I was enjoying the dramas.
Yes.
Yes. Our parents have expectations for us.
Right.
That they don't come down to understand what is my child's interest. They rather want to project their interest onto their children. And that's where the problem starts. So right in the childhood, they see you and you're going to be a medical doctor.
And that's
so if I'm coming up and I'm swaying to go to
football,
to art or sing, then it's a problem. And so for me, that has been that was my experience in the school. And I never enjoyed school until I went to my culinary school.
Wow.
Interesting. Quite a number of stories around this because I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've come firsthand, and it's bad. At the point, I even had to tell the headmistress who was doing that in the staff common room, stopped her. Said, "Don't ever say that to a because I just felt like you can't say that's all
That's
you.
all you're
That's
good
all
for.
No. Said no in front of my other colleagues. As young as I was, I had to do it.
You were
It was
rebellious
painful.
at
It was
the time.
very painful.
Wow.
But do you think things have changed because we have moved? We think that we've moved. There's enough knowledge,
Technology.
avalanche of knowledge, and do you think we have made strides?
We're getting there. So, because of the Sustainable Development Goals,
Indeed.
Okay.
when it comes to education, we're looking at 4. So it talks about inclusive education. So every country is mandated to practice inclusive education. But when you come down to our side of the world, which is
Why you
Africa,
Because obviously,
when it comes to Africa and even bringing it down to Ghana, the moment you take the inclusive education policy, you see a clear gap of what the society understands as inclusiveness.
Right.
So to them, inclusiveness is we finding accommodations and support for people with physical challenges. So hearing impairments, blindness, somebody who need assisted device like a wheelchair. That is what is in the inclusive education. So when it comes to our learners with hidden difficulties like dyscalculia, dyslexia, ADHD, I'm sorry, there isn't anything on it. And that reflects back to the training college, what the training college will be teaching the teachers. Because it has not been, they will say that, oh, Bible, we have everything there that should support everybody. No. Dyslexia affects 1 in 5, meaning you're talking about a population sample. If you want to go low, you're talking about what? 15 to 20% of an entire population. That is huge.
it could be you, it could be your child.
It could be your child, it could be your friend, it could be anybody. In the classroom settings, you go there, and I always say this, I don't think I will enter into any classroom and find somebody who is, for example, visually impaired. However, I will go into every classroom, and I'm sure I will find children there who are muted. They are struggling to learn, but they cannot voice out because the teacher is asking, does everybody understand? And because they hear the majority voice, yes, sir, or yes, madam, they move on. And they don't care about the people that are muted and they are struggling in the class. And they are in every classroom. And so even though we're doing our best as countries within our continent when it comes to inclusive education, there's this huge gap of people that we're still not addressing, and that cannot be true inclusion.
I see. We're going to be opening the phone lines, and probably you call and then you ask questions because, of course, she comes from a point of not only experience, also set up an organization that is dealing with these things in very systematic ways. And so you might have a child, you might have a friend's child, you might have yourself who probably is going through something. You can call us and ask your question. You can keep it short in 1 minute, and so we can bring answers to that. The idea of even knowing that you are dyslexic is where I'm coming from, because quite a number of people just come through and say, maybe, just maybe, it's a fault, maybe it's
a curse.
Yeah, it's a curse, and we deal with
spiritual.
it spiritually, right? Tell me about it, the knowledge of the people themselves.
So society still don't know. We started Africa Dyslexia Organization in 2020, and we still have so much work to do. And just like you said, just 2 weeks ago, I spoke with a parent who is taking their child to a prayer camp because they think that some bewitchment is involved. That is why their child cannot learn. My friend, get support for your child. I am, yes, spiritual person. I believe in God and everything. But God also made people like educators and psychologists and people who can support your child. So for me, and I understand them. It's not because I'm doing Africa Dyslexia Organization I don't understand. Because I remember the first time I heard the word dyslexia, I was taken aback. I shared my story of how I read poorly and performed badly in school. And a friend was like, oh, I think you have dyslexia. When I heard that, my heart jumped because I was like, what is she talking about? So I asked her, and she said, oh, no, I think you have dyslexia. You should check it. So when I left her, I was like, this lady, me. The way I have struggled my life, you want me to go and put a word, dyslexia, that is probably a sickness, on me to come and
a combination of malaria and typhoid.
Exactly, like to be ridiculed.
Could be.
So I never paid attention to her. Until later on, a teacher of mine said, I think you are dyslexic, Rosalin. Tell me about growing up in school. And I started narrating my story, and he recommended, go for assessments. And that's where I was like, so what he did, he directed me to a dyslexia organization website. Said, go and read. They have a screener there. Take the screening and come back to talk to me. So I did the screening, and I was like, wow. It's as if somebody has gone to tell them my story of how I struggle, because all the questionnaires, I checked marked them. That is me. So I told this teacher, and he said, I think you're dyslexic. You need to have a professional assess you to now understand. And I did, and it turns out I have severe dyslexia.
Severe.
And I'm like,
stages?
Yes, so all dyslexics are not the same. We some will struggle differently, some will struggle differently. Yes.
Okay, so that's where they...
Okay. Exactly. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm a very curious person. So I started reading about it. And I came back to Ghana, saw another psychologist at Rich Hospital, did a second assessment with her. And she was the one that sat me down and said, listen, dyslexia is not a curse. If you look at all your life, through all your struggles, and you have been able to achieve all that you have achieved in this short space of time, and you are accepting that you're no good, my friend, start bringing yourself together. When she did sessions with me, after that was where I had a conviction to be on dyslexia journey. But you have to see, even me at that time, as somebody who I can understand things, I was pushing it.
Yes.
So for parents that don't have the basic understanding of what this is, they will be saying that somebody is bewitching my child. But what we need to do is, just as you brought me on this set, is raising the awareness, debunking the myth and the stigmatizations around what learning differences are. In some countries, they don't even say learning disability.
So, yeah, of course. I was even going to say that.
Oh, yeah?
Because the use of the word even
they say
disability makes the child feel like, okay,
something
I'm not good enough.
Yes. But for me, the word disability, I'm very comfortable with it.
Acceptable.
Because disability doesn't mean inability. But learning differences, how children learn difference. Some teachers are sitting in classroom, they don't even know that you have 5 different types of learners in your class. Those who learn through visual, kinesthetic, tactile learners, auditory learners, reading and writing learners. Some educators don't know. So if they don't know, and they are in a class with Rosalin, who learns through hands-on, kinesthetic, visual, and you're doing reading and writing with me and I'm not getting, you turn out to say, I am the one that is not good.
Where you find the problems more is the private schools.
Tell me about it.
There are pupil teachers who do not know these things. But because you find the environment, right, where it stimulates a lot of the smarter ones to become better, they use that as the measure. So you can have your child go through that and become a master of the rote learning. Q, pass and forget, that kind of thing. Where we went through the private schools, I'm not saying all of them, but if they are watching, they know this is so they engage people, teachers who don't know anything about this. Of course, yes, they have some in-service training on just pedagogy, how to teach, how to be able to do so the Montessori methodology, and that's all. But these are nuanced, ways. So if you are sending your child to the private school thinking that because it's Saito even does it better because it is supposed that the teachers there are trained to teach these ones.
They don't.
He just busts his
They don't.
That's why I was
You were exceptional.
I had to learn.
You made an effort. Like, okay, I had this in school. It doesn't just end here.
Yeah.
The internet is an open source. Let me go there. What is this talking about? If you are and that's why I have a problem on how we recruit people into our education field. That field is not a field for everybody.
I think it's a calling.
It's a calling.
You don't have
if
to
you
think
have not been called, you are not supposed to be in education.
Yeah.
Because with the limited resources they have, they are still good teachers.
Right.
And of course, the world also have gotten it wrong for educators. I feel the same way a doctor needs to earn and benefit, that same benefit needs to go to an educator who is making that doctor. And so the benefits they are receiving is small. So the teacher is like, okay, then I don't care. Why should I go and invest my internet and read and come and support? So they just go and go and go. But they don't also know that if it's truly your calling, you do everything because you want to shape this kit that God has placed in your hands so that tomorrow you sit somewhere and you're like, I helped nature the people God brought into this world.
This is big. How are you doing it with your organization? What do you do? How do you measure impact?
So we as Africa Dyslexia Organization, the number one challenge we realized was awareness. When the awareness is not there, and I was making the example with you this morning, and I enter into your office and I come and even tell you, I'm looking for support to go and run training for teachers. You probably will be like, what am I talking about?
Yes.
So we are heavily into awareness. The next step is advocacy, where we engage policymakers, governments of education institutions, to look into inclusive education policies and analyze where gaps are and suggest improvements. Then we go a step further to do teacher training. Because if we decide to go and do screening or assessments right now in schools, we'll probably find so many children who are struggling. So our idea is, why not invest in the knowledge and skill building of educators? So they go back, teach these kids for a period of 6 months. And if they are doing it well, a child who cannot read, you can literally pick the child within 4 months, the child can read.
Oh, great.
So go back, teach these children, and then so those that are struggling, we will do assessments because the training will enable the teacher to be able to screen.
Okay.
So you will know.
Yeah, hold your thoughts there. Forgive me, because we don't want to lose Nicolina as well. Nicolina is calling us from Teshi. Nicolina, can you hear me? Hello? Nicolina, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try one more time. Nicolina, can you hear me? If you can't hear me, welcome to the show. Alrighty. Please call us. Let's know what's on your mind. Let's know. If you have questions, Madam is here to deal with them. So you were saying assessment.
Yeah.
Oh, Nicolina? Nicolina is back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Indeed, you're on air.
Hello?
Talk to us.
Hello?
Yes, talk to us. You're on air. Oh, our lines today. May it come under the control of the Holy Spirit.
I think I have there's a comment on YouTube.
All right.
Bridget Efua Japan, she says, my son says he doesn't remember sometimes what he's being taught. Right? She even has a son who reports back about me, like, so That's all she would, but I'm sure probably she would have been asking a question that, is that something she has to start looking out for? Is that right?
Of course, and I wish I know how old is the son of hers, but if this is persistent, yes, you need to seek support for the child. One thing is early identification and support is key.
Great.
Do not wait for your child to grow. So let's say your child is 6 now, madam. Do not wait for your child to be 10. Because by the time that your child is 10, both you and the school would have damaged the emotions and confidence already for your child. So seek the support now, because early intervention is key. Get assessment done. Speak to the school. Collaborate with the school, because you cannot do this alone. And then from there, seek for assessments for your child. Speak to the school. They can put in individualized education plan for your child and put your child on it to give him the targeted intervention that he needs.
That speaks of the cost, though. We'll come back to that. Nicolina is back, we're told. Nicolina, can you hear us? Nicolina, can you hear us? Oh, no, our lines. Nicolina. Right. Okay. Do you have any other comments?
Bridget actually brings back another comment. She says, but he's very good in speech. So that's like speaking good English. He likes IT.
Good.
And just that he cannot write well. So you still advise that she goes and seeks.
So she goes and seeks support. And then also, I'm glad she knows what the child loves, because some parents don't know. So your child loves IT. He loves speeches. It looks like we are having some speaker come out from this home.
Yeah, right.
So build on these skills. Find help. Be in those settings for him to see other people speaking. Engage him in a coding school, IT school. There are so many around now for kids. Engage him in it, but then also seek for support so we can work on the reading skills and the remembering skills. Please, if you also contact us, we will be able to recommend some experts to you. So please seek for support. Don't waste time at all.
Amazing.
Right. I want us to talk about the costs and also whether or not, as a matter of policy, we can only rely on organizations like yours. But before I do that, I was shocked at why we're still lashing or stressing on kids to learn how to write my first copy book, because if the world is going digital, okay, let me see if I'll come back to that thought. But Nicolina is back. Nicolina, can you hear us? Hello, Nicolina. Hello.
I can hear you. So my question is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, how about those who have problems with numbers, and what's done to correct that?
Right.
Those who have problems with numbers, he has problems with writing, with reading and stuff, but there are some who have problems with numbers. What is it called, and how is that solved?
Dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia.
Are you well versed in that?
So our organization, even though we are Africa Dyslexia
Dyslexia,
organization, we do learning difference.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
we take in dyscalculia and all that. So that's she asked, what would that be called? That name is dyscalculia. However, I have to put something across that it doesn't say that because your child is struggling with reading and writing and recalling or mathematics, meaning your child has dyscalculia or dyslexia. I don't want people to assume right now that, like the lady on the YouTube to say, oh, there my child is dyslexia. No, until a professional assessed your child to say so, you can only assume that there is maybe a tendency. So that's where assessment is very important. And she asks how to teach them both English or maths, multi-sensory learning. So multi-sensory or multi-modality of learning takes into account all the types of learners that I mentioned. You need to study the child to understand how does the child learn before you are able to teach. So we cannot sit here and say that, okay, for mathematics, you should do this for your child. We need to know the profile of the child before we can put any intervention strategies out there.
You have a caller?
Yes. Elizabeth is calling us from Amasaman. Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, you're on air.
Okay, I want to ask, I have a daughter who is 10 years, but I clearly realize she's good in the reading subject, which is English and other stuff. But then with the calculation subject, which is math, when we are treating a topic to all right, then when we jump to different topics, she gets confused. Then she forgets about everything. So I want to ask, what do we do about that one?
Okay, very well.
Almost
All right.
the same.
Yeah,
Almost the same.
Yeah.
So again, dyscalculia, and we can teach the children again by knowing the child's profile, who this child is, what do they enjoy doing, how do they learn. You know, when you're teaching a child with dyscalculia, you literally can get pizza. You can buy a pizza and say that today we're going to do, say, addition and minus or fraction with a pizza. So you take one, you ask the child how many is left. You can put 3 together. What he's saying is that the child is eating the pizza, but then you are teaching the child with it. So
Madam, calm down. Let's calm down. Maybe let's use achomo in our case.
let's see achomo
Achomo.
or sugar cane.
Indeed.
You can use sugar cane.
You can do that with the pizza with
You
the
cut
Adela.
the sugar. You cut the
Yeah.
sugar canes in different shapes.
Indeed.
And you arrange it beautifully, and you can use that to even teach a child. You can use beads to teach. You can use the top of the bottles. Is it counted?
Yes.
You can get
That's
all
what we
those
call the
things.
cocks.
You can use different things to teach, but then again, if you don't know the profile of the child,
can't.
you might be teaching the child wrongly.
I see. Joyce is calling us from Santor. Wow. Joyce, good morning.
Yes. Yes. Good morning. Me pamuchawo. Me pese me ba program no so kakra. Me wona na bi wo ho. Se woman no book no so kra sen Bible kakraka na. Woman no from morning to evening no akan ewie. But ni notebook there on person kan notebook no kra. Ena mass nso onye ade. Enti abofra bi se no se ne ebe no. Me share program me ya parents no so ni fie wo mo kwa adwuma.
Very well. Yeah, that's it. So the talk about he being able to read
All books.
all books except notebooks
Which is notebooks.
and also
Guilty as
dyscalculia.
Okay.
Right?
So
Of course not. Why would I read my notes?
there are some kids, So we have also gifted and talented.
Right.
So let us, I'm not saying this is the case, but just as an example. So he can read any book. They are saying even the Bible.
Yes.
More than the
Something-
Bible.
I read anything, engineering, anything,
He will read
medicine.
it, but his notebook, that means his notebook is boring.
Very.
Whatever they are teaching him is boring to him.
Right.
I'm suspecting this child will go into class and looking at the teacher teaching him and be like, at this level with what I know, you're
Yes.
teaching me this.
Yes.
So he comes, he closes his notebook, he doesn't even want to open it again. So they need to really study this child and see what level is he. If he's in, he said she's 10, right? So 10 maybe, oh, she didn't mention
No,
age.
she didn't mention
It's
that.
the other,
The other
one.
one, that's
Yeah.
16.
Okay.
So I don't know the age, but let's assume the child is in grade 6 right now, and they assess this child, maybe he's above the level of the grade 6, and whatever they are teaching is not interesting him. So he's looking for adult one. He's looking for
bigger
more
things.
advanced things to learn. And then of course the maths, yeah, she says math, then we come back again to what?
I see.
Dyscalculia. Yeah.
So the case of handwriting,
Dysgraphia.
dysgraphia, where it might not even be a problem, but we have moved from age. Look, we are dealing with this. I don't know of what the Western world does and the focus, but I can tell that it is not large because when we're doing pen writing, we had pen friends across.
Yes.
When they write pen pals indeed, when they write letters to us, we saw their handwriting. It was so bad.
Yeah, but for us, we have to go. So if your handwriting is not nice,
Exactly, and
mark
kids
you
are
down.
being punished to do so. Are we missing it?
I would say writing is still good.
Okay.
Because it helps, I feel, especially with young kids, you're writing and helping with your brain and everything.
Right.
But I don't think we should put a cane to writing. So you can say that, yeah, get my first copybook just so you can get, and I use my first copybook. To date, my handwriting is very bad. But you can still use it. But it shouldn't become like the norm, like, teach the child that in a way that, okay, they write and they see, but it shouldn't be a punishment.
Right.
And of course, the world is advancing. So when are we looking into things? So some of the accommodations we say is that, especially for our children with learning difficulties, if the child cannot write, can you let the child speak for the exams? Ask the question. So I give you the answer. But when it comes to just writing in school and you forcing, like, beating the child, right? And you know,
it's not good.
Children, when you beat them, you even spoil everything. There is a way you can connect with a child, and what they don't even want or they are not interested in, they will still do their efforts and want to make you happy and also case closed. Right. But the moment you bring beating in, you beat the child out for all the time. I still say that writing is good, but the approach is wrong.
I see.
Yeah.
There's a message that I'm sure Biadala will be helping us. But before I go there, the issue of, because I've always, for the many times I've emceed the CIMG Awards, PPAG had won. PPAG at those days was the places we used to go to read, and after that, movies are shown, they will go back to read. But I realized that not a lot of people might have connections with your organization and PPAG. Is there anything that, by way of policy, that is missing, and who are the bodies responsible for that?
When it comes to
these
things, education, Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, everything is under them. Okay, and then of course when it goes beyond the person being out of school, then we come to corporations where somebody like me, if I'm getting into an organization, they need to understand how I work and the support I need to thrive. So it's education. And we are working hand in hand with governments, but hoping they will be interested, because the interest has not been as we are looking for. Because we want to be able to develop even programs with the universities and the training colleges. So before teachers even come out, they are trained, they understand, they know how they can teach all their learners before they come out. This is our approach. Okay. But then it takes time for them to warm up, because of course, for years and years, we said these kids are not good. And now you're here to change that. So it's taking time. But we need voices. And just as you two are doing here is great. I'm hoping to connect to the Archbishop as well. You know, he's dyslexic.
Yes,
he
he's
said
not
it
shied away.
himself. He's not shied away at all. We need his voices, people like that. The Ochiame Kwame, the Nanansa Kwaus, all these people are dyslexic. So together with our collective voices, then we will start changing the narrative.
Absolutely. I think Kweku Daku sent us a message. He's online now. No, I think he's on phone.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Kweku.
Good morning.
Great.
You guys are doing a very great job, and good morning to my good friend Rosalin. Rosalin is still in Kweku Daku JCI.
Nice to connect with you again.
Nice connecting with you. Now, 3 quick questions. Question number 1. Do we have a cure for dyslexia? Number 1. Number 2, if there is no cure, how can one overcome it? And the third one is, I'm the president of Global Volunteers Corps. So Rosie will talk after 6, but there are a lot we need to do in our nations across Africa.
Absolutely.
We really need to educate the populace on this very important subject matter. Thank you all very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a lovely day.
Thank you, Kirku. Yes, so
Can it be cured?
no, you cannot cure it, and it's in two folds. Early intervention is key.
Right.
It can correct all the mistakes I'm still making because I never got the intervention. Still, there are words I will see I cannot pronounce. There are names I cannot pronounce or write out. However, if you put in any intervention for a child, those corrections will be done. But why I say it cannot be cured is the moment you try to cure, which you can't, you take that uniqueness aspect of the dyslexic person as well. Because that dyslexia, even though, or any of the learning difference like ADHD, even though it's coming with a challenge, it's also coming with an advantage. Where exceptionally very intelligent people, analytical people, big dreamers, people who can put solutions to problems, but our society have missed it. We celebrate Richard Branson, Albert Einstein, Whoopi Goldberg, Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Jobs. You're using the iPhone and all that. These are all people that were told were not good. But then society did not push them on the streets. Society gave them the platform to develop their other skills, to be inventors and innovators that are giving us products to use today. Where is that African child? Are you saying we don't have them here? When Ochiami Kwame shares his story, it will look like he should have been on the streets today. When you hear the Archbishop sharing his story, it will look like he should have been on the street begging today. But look at him. Look at him. Somebody that says, I went to this Bible school and at that time I didn't even know how to read. But look at how good orator he is. Look at how his mind works. This is the message we're taking across. So yes, you cannot cure, but early intervention can support every child who struggles, whether it's dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, ADHD, dysgraphia, they will do good if you put in that corrected intervention.
Okay.
But if you don't, then we are setting that for fail.
I see. Are there any messages?
Well, so Bridget came back saying, that's the one who said he's interested in IT. He says that the child is 15 years. So he's 15 years. So
It's still not too late.
yeah, right?
Still not too late. Let me tell you why I said it's not too late. You remember I told you I failed the BEC.
Yes.
So I couldn't get into high school.
Right.
And a friend told me that I love to cook, which I do when I was young. So he said, tell your parents to take you to a vocational school and do culinary arts. And I told my parents, and they gave me that opportunity. For me, the person you're seeing with you today, that vocational school I went in Koforidi, a Liberty Specialist Institute, is what set the foundation of who I to become today.
Right.
And with the grace of God, I've become that person I'm still developing. But when I got to the vocational school, something changed. I started enjoying, because what? Vocational school, what do? Hands-on. Practical, visual. And so now you see tomatoes, and they say the word tomatoes. You see the spelling, you have tomato. I'm going to explore with tomato as an ingredient to make a sauce or to make a dish or something. And so by the time I finish all this process, what happens?
I've learned.
And that's how my mind started opening up, and I started enjoying school. Since then till date, I've enjoyed every school that I've went to. So I'm saying it's not too late for the 15-year-old because intervention can still be done. So don't wait, Mom. Seek for support.
Indeed.
Well, before you asking, I want to read some of the messages that are coming through.
It's your turn.
Walter Decardi Nelson says, this is deep discussion, and he put a fire emoji there. Don't set us ablaze. Yeah. And it said, another one, Mark the Sun, it says, wow, then I guess many people from school have had dyslexia and we didn't know.
How would you know?
Absolutely.
No, you wouldn't
You
know.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, Juliana Kojo says that's Kujo says that's great, and then Amata Cynthia says great discussions. Kudos, Dominion TV. Yeah. Or you want me to touch on other messages that came? Reverend BB was on fire. Somebody actually wrote, hey, Reverend BB is on fire. Actually heard that. That was my reaction. I'm like, hey, today is dealing with all
Fire
kinds of.
emoji. Fire
I tell you, it's like fire from the pulpit from yesterday.
tell you.
And we had the residue of that one. Another one says, Ebenezer Babio also says, Reverend BB is on fire, so passionate about this country. Kem Minta says, I'm really enjoying Reverend Savior's submission.
Okay, we read that.
You read that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I think that basically that's it. But people have enjoyed this.
So we have
I have enjoyed it.
some 2 minutes to wrap up. What's the way forward?
The way forward is we continue to create awareness. We continue to raise, do our advocacies across Africa. We now have a number of advocates in 38 African countries. We're looking to partner with governments, especially because we have their buy-in, we can get things done. We're also looking for corporate institutions and individuals to support our work. It is hard getting sponsorship and support to do this.
Oh, it will be hard. It's not a music concert.
You go and talk, and it's like people are looking into your face like, what is she trying to do? So we need people to partner us on their CSR projects to advance the work we do. Individuals, if you want to volunteer as well, our doors are open. But if you're parents and you need more information, or you're even an educator and you're looking for training, visit our website, www.africadyslexia.org, and all informations are there on how you can reach us. But I just want to say something before I leave, is that every child can learn, every child has the potential, and therefore, parents, take your time. Don't project your dreams on your children. Let your children bring out the best in them. Seek to know your child. That is what I would say. And for teachers, please, you and an architect to come and take care of these kids in your hands, whether from the early grade or university level. Stop calling children names. Seek for knowledge so you can support your children very well, because you never know. Maybe that child will be the one coming to even take care of you in future. Africa, be wise. You have talents. Let's stop wasting those children to the street. Let's bring children together and support their growth.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
Africa, be wise.
Wise there we are.
Word to the wise.
It's not in the north. It's everywhere in
Africa.
It's everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Rosalin Abigail Kyere-Nartey is founder of the Africa Dyslexia organization, and she joined us to have this conversation. Indeed, thank you very much. Just as we have started supporting, we'll see how we can go to support.
Further.
Right. We need to do more series.
Absolutely.
So I can bring my team.
There's a team, huh?
Oh, there is a team, yeah.
Absolutely. Right, it's been a wonderful time, and we cannot wait to come your way tomorrow again with another exciting one. My name is Koku Lumo.
And my name is Biadola. See you tomorrow.
Easy concepts. What can't you do? What won't you do? Nothing impossible. Nothing impossible. What can't you